Welcome back, Officers of the Public. It's, of course, Honorable Police Chief APGAINS. Dark Trooper Moff Gideon looks amazing. I'm not gonna lie, I love this visual, and spinning characters and looking at them is 90% of the gameplay. Let's be honest. But is he going to be good enough to be usable for the average person? Now, the Giga Whales and the endgame players always have everything, so I guess, as always, this video doesn't really apply if you just have everything. But for the normal person who's maybe, you know, approaching that 4 million mark, gonna enter in hard conquest, or is deep in hard conquest but doesn't usually get him the first 3-month go around, and usually gets him more month 4, 5, 6, or even later. This is something that we should be going overdrive in conquest for. Now, for background, he is a territory war Omicron conquest unit, and by looking at these three right here, you can tell my general opinion on how effective territory war conquest units are. Now, ironically enough, these are probably the three units that Van Seal would say are the best units in the game, but that's just because he's a memer and I am practical. If we go back to the OG Boba Fett Skeen of Yango, he left a lot to be desired. Now, he was really good, and Territory Wars should not be ignored, mostly because I believe they're probably going to do some sort of update for it at some point in the future, since a lot of the Giga Whales who spend money that is incomprehensible to the common man have been kind of inquiring about that internally. So I imagine something along the lines might appear at some point. Plus, it would just be nice to mix up a game mode that hasn't been mixed up almost ever. And he's okay. Ow! My dog is currently just absolutely destroying my toes right now with his gigantic teeth. Admiral Trench, kind of the same thing. Really, really good with the Territory War Omicron, but in Grand Arena, he's got some weird niche use cases, but not fantastic. And then I guess the main point of this video, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, his kit doesn't look terrible. I love how he taunts like every time you click on his unit, which is like, I don't know, the greatest thing ever. But I imagine that in Territory Wars, he's obviously going to be god tier. There's going to be some people who are going to be like, is he the Maul to, well, does he go with Maul, which is kind of a meme because he requires Mandalorian leaders, but he's not himself a Mandalorian. Is he going to be like the Maul to the Lord Vader for Grand Admiral Thrawn, or Giga Heir to the Empire Thrawn? What if they just call him Heir to the Empire? That'd be kind of lit. So I personally am holding out, I'd say 30% of my effort into Conquest for the fact that he might be some sort of Imperial Remnants Galactic Legend like lifter unit, kind of like how Maul is a lifter unit to Lord Vader, or Cat is a lifter unit to Kenobi, etc., etc., or Ben is a lifter to Rey, the greatest galactic legend that no one has. So I'd say 30% of my effort into Conquest is going to be going in that direction, and then I'd say the other 70% of my personal effort into this character is, oh, booby, oh, your friend doesn't want to play with you. 70% of my effort into this character is mostly just because he looks good. Do I expect him to be like quality backbone level character? I honestly don't know. I think the Imperial Remnant has the potential. There's enough good damage assists, like weird mechanics of unique buffs and debuff. Like there's enough there to where he could take them to a point where it would be practical for a mid-game, early to mid-game player who happens to have him. Say you just, happen to get a month 4, month 5, or month 6 from Conquest. Is it worth taking the team up to like, I don't know, to like this point right here? Like as an example, like say you have them at low relics. There's a couple of characters maybe at gear 12, and a couple of the more important characters like other Gideon and Scout Trooper at higher relics. I think that's probably going to be a safe enough bet for most people, is to take them to the point where you put a little bit of investment in, but you haven't put them to the point of like, like a unlock for a legacy character. Or a Legends character where you have like R5s across the board, a couple R7s, and you triple Omicron them. I don't know if I would go that far until we see a little bit more testing, or we get, the example like right here where a lot of these characters are really valuable, but the character himself is a lifter for a Galactic Legend, i.e. Luke for other Luke. And in that case, obviously, we would go kind of full throttle into getting his little booty up and running. but I think he's currently tracking to be, I don't know, I feel like he's currently tracking to be maybe how I have my Maul, where like maybe he is a really good character, but the team itself without a crazy investment, or let me rephrase this to make so this makes more sense to you guys. I think he'll be similar to Maul in that he'll be good enough to be very, very flexible in a solid backbone team in Grand Arena, but his team maybe shouldn't be super invested into until the point that you have what he lifts for, if that makes sense. So like, or actually probably in spite of that, or because he could be a lifter, you shouldn't go full throttle on the team. Like the reason I don't have a crazy steezed out Maul team is because eventually I'll have Lord Vader and Maul will just go with Lord Vader. And so the rest of the team is kind of just like not quite good enough as a long-term investment when there's other relics that could be applied elsewhere. Like for every armor and Canderous I take to high enough relics to use a Datacron, I'm missing out on a Star Killer Afra requirement to get those characters up, a Malagus, Revan, Malik, whatever, because I have a ship to farm in the Leviathan, a Radis to get a ship, or, a lifter for a Galactic Legend, if that makes sense. So I would probably take him and his team to comparable levels of what I have this Maul team. You'll have him probably Relic 7, because all Conquest characters just inevitably go to Relic 7 for some reason. You'll have a couple of bad characters on that Imperial Remnant team. I don't know, actually, I don't know, because he calls Dark Trooper to assist. Moff Gideon's solid, Death Trooper, Scout Trooper. I put Death Trooper with Iden, so maybe you just move it over to Stormtrooper and you go here, but I also use Stormtrooper for Iden. I mean, that's going to be kind of the proverbial, what the fuck are we going to do? Because there's not, it's like if we have a team of Veers, I guess Veers loses Dark Trooper, or you keep Dark Trooper with Veers, you keep everyone with Iden, you just move, oh man, that's tough. You do double Gideon Scout with, God, that is not fun. This is Omicron down here in Territory Wars. If all allies are Imperial Remnant, maybe you go undersized. I don't know. Maybe there is a world where you run a Gideon team and you run like a super, well, I don't know if it'd be a super Imperial Trooper team because it lacks Dark Trooper, but you move Iden onto a Veers team with Piet. I don't know if it has the same damage output, obviously. Well, my dogs just got out and they're going to go harass the guests we have over, so I have to go. I'm not sure. Bye-bye.